Do you know that feeling? When your old friend, that tight feeling in your chest, once again greets you, robbing you of your sleep with anxious thoughts and self-doubt. And maybe there was something triggering it. Maybe it was just circumstance. But you know that life is hard right now. And sometimes you just don't know what to do. You're stuck, right? And you escape. One day I was playing Elden Ring and I was walking through Leyndell, and this feeling came over me. A feeling that I hadn't felt for so long. It was soft, sad and calming at the same time. Kind of cathartic, actually. It was strange because I felt like I have been here before. Not at this point in time, not like a déjà vu, right? I mean, at this place. Here, in Leyndell. But of course I haven't, because this place doesn't exist, right? Memories came up from a place where I have never been. Memories from past situations that never happened. It was strange, and I was just staying there, at this temple in Leyndell. Feeling. Maybe remembering. Escaping. And I had to think of a game that I had completely forgotten about. And this game was Worlds Adrift. A game which was discontinued on July 26th in 2019 by Bossa Studios. Why that game? Why does Worlds Adrift matter to me? Okay, so Worlds Adrift was released on May 24th back in 2017. It was an online open world sandbox game where you could run around on floating islands, build an airship and venture through the different flying lands to search for materials. You could discover a lost civilization which ruins held hidden secrets about what might have happened here. Let me tell you, the light and dreamy steampunk setting, combined with the calm gameplay, made for a truly special experience. You could just explore the old ruins of a dead civilization, or you could meet or even fight other players. Interestingly enough, the world was shaped and crafted by the community, with the help of an island creator tool. Man, the different islands that these people came up with, they are truly astonishing and full of originality. The game seemed to have a loyal player base and a loving community, although there was a hidden problem that the developers were struggling with. Money was short, and they were renting servers that they couldn't pay for. Also, there weren't many new players buying the game. Eventually, money ran out, and Bossa Studios had to shut the servers down, making the game unplayable. The only fragment that was left was the island creator tool. You are seeing it right now. Even though you could still build islands and traverse them, you can't build ships anymore. There's no multiplayer and really no real gameplay. I remember quite clearly how playing Worlds Adrift made me feel. None of my friends wanted to play this game, so I was playing it alone, listening to a podcast or listening to music, and building away at my tiny airship that I called Skipper. It was one of the only games that made me enjoy exploring, even though there wasn't really a lot to find. Nothing substantial, at least. No items or quest logs or NPCs. But stories and thoughts that people built into the structures of these islands. It seemed like every stone was placed there for a reason, and it was just exciting to look around and make up your own story. So, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, even though I know that I'm not the only one. But change makes me anxious.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And I know that I'm not the only one, as I said, but let me explain. Back in 2018, when I played this game, I was in a strange spot in my life. I sat between high school and college, unsure of where my education would take me. I wasn't sure if I would move, stay, meet new people, or lose old friendships. I was always a sensitive kid, and change made me anxious. And during that time, change was a constant, sadly. In 2020, the coronavirus hit Germany, and you all know how that story goes. During those times of change, Worlds Adrift gave me a place to escape to. A place where I could venture around and just be calm and enjoy. I felt like a child again, during a time where I had to start acting like an adult. Back then, I was applying for music college and constantly had to prove my worth as a musician. I was no longer a prodigy. Well, I never really was, I barely got accepted. And suddenly, I was one of thousands of prodigies that were all more gifted than me, that had the better connections, that had the money, and that seemed to never fail. I questioned my abilities and if the path that I was on was the right one for me. And traversing the music world full of already established people, not having achieved anything, made me question my worth as a human being. But in Worlds Adrift, it was just me, the sky, and my little ship called Skipper. I didn't have to prove anything to no one. And you can imagine how destroyed I was when I heard that soon all that would be gone. I did find other games that had a similar effect on me. Sailwind was one of them, for example. Though here you didn't steer an airship, but a small boat in the Mediterranean Sea. There were other games like Elden Ring, of course, or games like The Last Guardian or Shadow of the Colossus. The parallels are obvious, right? A calm gameplay with a warm atmosphere, temples, blue skies with antique Asian influences, a cartoonish look to it. Wait, doesn't that remind you of something? Like so many others, the show was my childhood, to the extent that I would lie in bed and make up stories about Aang, Zuko and the others. Now it makes sense why I feel so drawn to the style of fantasy. It's nostalgia. It literally is the feeling of being a child again. And it also reminds me of the stories in Avatar. The growth of the characters, the failures of Zuko and how he learns and changes. Teachings on acceptance and hope that are still relevant for each and every one of us. If you want to know more about what made Avatar: The Last Airbender special, I highly recommend this video by Hello Future Me. It gives you an in-depth look into the psychology of Zuko, probably the most complex character in the series. Zuko was constantly struggling to prove himself to his father and sister and to re-establish his honor by capturing the Avatar. He failed. Due to his low self-worth, he treated others like crap and was constantly frustrated and only focused on his own goals. In Avatar, Zuko learns, gets a second chance, and is saved by the hope of the people that care about him. Zuko might have failed, but the series established that he was by no means a failure. He was never alone, even though he might have felt alone. That is the beautiful message that Avatar portrayed and that had a great impact on me as a kid. We all fail, we all struggle, and we all make mistakes. But there is always hope and good people that trust in us and that want to help us if we let them. When I stood in the temple in Leyndell, I escaped. the same way I escaped in Worlds Adrift. I was going through change once more. For example, I realized that my current major doesn't fit, so I changed my subject, which means that I have to change colleges and move. One of my parents was diagnosed with a horrible sickness, which looms over every decision that one makes. So when I stood in that temple, I felt the somber and kind philosophy that Avatar taught me as a kid, that was engraved in the style and atmosphere of old ruins covered with leaves, strange mountains of clouds building over the horizon, and people living within the elements in harmony. I felt a little bit of the weight being lifted from my shoulders, the stress and pressures that I had accumulated over the past few years, gone for a couple of minutes. And I remembered what peace felt like and the beautiful people in my life that are on my side, pushing me and believing in me. Every one of us is blessed, in some way, and cursed in others. But if we want to keep going, I think counting our blessings is the only way to survive. So that is why Worlds Adrift mattered to me. It gave me a place to escape to, where I could be reminded of my blessings. And I sincerely hope that each and every one of you has such a place. A place that gives you calmness and hope, until better days come along. Are you still there? Great, because there's one more thing I have to talk about. This is Lost Skies. A sequel to Worlds Adrift or a spiritual successor? I don't know, but it's by Bossa Studios, so great, let's have a look at it. Lost Skies is a cooperative survival adventure for 1 to 6 players. Are you kidding? What is this? This is not Worlds Adrift. Where's the large-scale multiplayer? Is this a roleplay? No, it's open world survival craft. So it's open world, but only for 6 players. How are they gonna fill that? I want to meet new people. I want to meet their airships and how they build. And I want to make friends and clans and fight other players. And I don't have any friends to play this with. They fucked up the servers one time and are too afraid to learn from their mistakes and instead resort to a low-scale cooperative survival adventure for max 6 players. What about community servers? What about private servers? People manage to do that. If you can't afford the servers, let other people do it. I don't know how they go. Who am I kidding? I'm still gonna play it. It's a steampunk game. Come on. How bad can it be? Huh. This is actually pretty. This is really beautiful, actually.